I've posted too many things, it is difficult to find. I might just have to take a new picture. It's not finding it, so taking a picture of my arm. Feel like you've joined the discussion at a weird point. Scroll up and you'll see the context for that. Using sort, maybe. It's a V6. No, that's reality. Though I haven't image prompted it into V5 yet. I did back in V3 and it made some interesting results. So let's see what happens. Will there be some V6 photos shared today? No, almost certainly not. Hello. Can you hear me? Yep.
Just give us a second. Let everyone join. I'm going to run real quick and grab groceries at the door, but we are back and then we'll start.
All right. Looks like we're about leveled off. Just waiting for David to get back. I say that, and then we jump up by 20 people. Yay.
Right. I assume everything's clear, evened out.
Yep.
We'll get. Thank you, everybody, for coming today to the weekly Midjourney Office Hours. We do these every week on Wednesdays. It's like that's what I get for not drinking. Just 1 second. Oof. That's embarrassing. Just meant to drink a thing of water before talking. Instead, started talking before drinking. 1 second. All right. Anyway, voice gives out right at the beginning. Not a good sign, but we'll be fine. Yeah, we do these every week at Wednesday, 12 p.m. Usually what I do is I just start off talking about how everything's going, what we're thinking about, what we're working on, and then take some questions, and that's about it. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be funny if I just died at the beginning of the office hours. That'd be a shame. Yeah. Let's see what's going on. Pushed out the in painting. That was fun. We called it kind of vary region because it doesn't if you just think that it lets you replace anything with anything, it kind of feels weird. And yeah, in painting isn't also a great normal person word name, so we kind of trying to But I hope everyone's having fun with the feature. If you use it in the right way, it's definitely really good. Could be better, but it's not going to improve probably that rapidly. We have 1 improvement that we can probably ship for it at some point, but yeah, we're probably working next more on the upscaling V6, other new aesthetic stuff. But yeah, it took us a really long time to ship this feature. We probably had it working a month or 2 ago, and really it was not really something just that we shipped by ourselves, but that we shipped with Discord. It's using this sort of new pop-up feature inside of Discord where we can pop up windows and put user interfaces inside of it. And so one of our hopes is that we can add a lot more features now that maybe wouldn't really work inside of the chat flow area of Discord, and that would work with a pop-up. So I think this is the beginning of many new features which can potentially have more sophisticated UIs. Yep. So that's that. Let's see what else. We wanted to get a new style out, but it wasn't quite we had something that was better, that improves the prompt accuracy again for V5. We'll call it V5.3 whenever we release it. And we weren't quite happy with it, so we didn't release it with the in-painting. Right now, it made things it made the image a little more plain. We don't know why. It might be because of some bug. So or maybe because people want the images to be more plain. I can't tell. So we're sort of spending some more time on that before we ship something. But we do have something that might improve the prompt accuracy one more time for B5. And then if we ship that, that'll probably be the last B5 version that we ship. We have things that we could ship that'd be like 5.5, but we're trying really hard to push straight to a V6. That's going to be a really big difference, really big change. We're thinking of bigger batches, lower resolution, with an upscaler that goes to a higher resolution with much better text accuracy, better image quality. Probably be able to write text. Probably more controllability in general. Definitely more diversity of aesthetics. Definitely more knowledge. So if we ship the V6, it looks like, I don't know, I mean, it's really hard to tell if all the features are going to come across the line. But yeah, and it kind of depends on when we want to ship it, you know? Like, do we want to ship something sooner with less features, later with more features, just when we feel like it's rounded out? So we didn't feel like there was a lot of time pressure to like ship something that was slightly better. And so we decided to try to just push all of our energy into something that was really, 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 really way better. So yeah, we're putting a lot of energy into the V6, and if it all comes together, it should be really good. I think it'll have everything that people are asking for. Yeah, better text, understanding text rendition, high resolution, bigger batches, more varieties of styles. Yeah. So that's a lot. Yeah. It's moving too. So we're seeing, we have prototypes of stuff that writes text. We have prototype stuff that understands text better. We have prototypes of stuff that, I think we're a little bit behind on our high resolution things. We have some good ideas, but we haven't done that yet. But we're pretty sure that the high resolution is probably the easier thing out of all this stuff. We'll see. It's like having a scoop of yogurt. Today is yogurt instead of smoothies. Yogurt is so good. Uh-oh, I'm turning into one of those TikTok stars. Yogurt's so good. Anyway. What is going on? Progress on the standalone website is going well. We've been showing it to a few people behind the scenes, and they feel like it's looks pretty polished. I think it'll be I think when we ship it, it'll be the highest quality like UI, UX ever made around an AI thing ever. Not to hype it up too much, but just like that we're trying to really make something good. And it's hard because if you were like a Y Combinator startup, you're going to kind of make something shitty and no one's going to care about it. So you just ship something as soon as possible. Whereas for us, like, because so many people are going to use it on day one, it's a little scary, So we feel like it has to both be good and it has to like work. And we're pretty scared of people coming onto it and signing up for it who haven't, and then they may never come to Discord. So we may not have a way of, like, it has to kind of stand alone really well. People who don't come to Discord, because we won't be able to watch them as easily and we won't be able to talk to them as easily. So, there's a lot of features we're trying to put into it. I don't know when it's going to ship. All I know is that when it does ship, it's going to be really good, and it will probably, won't look not like I don't think it'll be like a little good. I think it'll be really, really, really good. And I kind of have to hope that waiting until it's really, 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 really good is the right thing to do, rather than kind of ship something out and it's not that good sooner, or maybe have a hard time or something that like breaks. So yeah, we're working on that. We have a big team working on that all the time. Um, yeah, I mean, the web the thing we're doing is still gonna be pretty minimal. There's only like, it's gonna be pretty minimal, but at the same time, the goal is that what is there should be really clean, really good. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think the two biggest things we're working on are this sort of V6 model, which is way, way, way better, and the standalone web thing, which is way, way, way better. I think Discord will still be the place for a lot of things, and we're going to keep pushing new features with the sort of pop-up feature. If we didn't have the pop-up feature, it would have been in deep shit because we couldn't really like, build out a lot more complicated UI, but now we can. So in theory, our web experience things will actually start to like appear in the Discord stuff via the little pop-ups. So that's great. I'm really excited about that, and I think there's a lot of social things we can do on here uniquely. But we're trying really hard to make something really good on the web, and as I said, I think it'll be really good. Yeah, there was a web version that we tested before with some of the high volume users on the 10K and above club, but whatever we ship is going to be really, 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 really different from that. So we are working on some mobile stuff too, and it works pretty well on mobile, but I think we're still trying to figure out. I think the design on mobile is like has unique challenges in order to make it really good, and so I think that's probably the next area that's going to have to move a little bit. And it's hard right now because we don't quite have enough designers to cover both the web and the mobile. All right, what else is going on? There's a small chance we ship some more in-painting related features. I'm not sure. But there are some things that obviously the in-painting, you can do more with in-painting than the current system does. So maybe we'll try that. We do have some control net-like things working that we haven't shipped yet. So we could ship some of that. I think it's a little bit hard to say how much we should ship for V6, but we do have more things working behind the scene. So yeah, there are things that we could ship over the next month. I'm just debating a little bit. It's really hard to kind of say. If it's not, it's a little bit of zero sum. If we ship this thing here, then it'll put something else behind, and so it's really hard to say when you ship something and when we keep working in R&D. But we'll see what happens. We're gonna test a few things and see what happens. Yeah, what else is going on? There's always we have some cool proof of concepts for 3D working, but now we need to gather more data for it. I feel pretty confident that we're going to get 3D this year now. This year, I don't know. Hopefully this year. Like, there's not really any technical limitations. It's mostly a data thing at this point. We have some video stuff moving along, so that'll happen. In theory, they'll both come together, and you'll have like 3D video. I don't really know what that tool set's going to look like, but it's definitely not. It's not going to be like make me a cat movie and then makes you a cat movie. I mean, it can make you a movie of a cat, but it's not going to make you like Cats the movie. You know what I mean? But it'll be interesting. I'm excited for it. It'll be really great when it all comes together. We have like a storytelling group building out with different user interfaces, kind of building bigger stories together. We've seen some really cool things there I'm excited about. I have no idea when we'll ship any of those things, but we're giving them space. So we'll ship things when they want to ship things. And I'm sure it'll be really good when they do. What else is going on? We're probably going to upgrade. Actually, we might have done this already, but it might not be announced yet. We have some like newer servers. So we did some newer server. Actually, there's something we did announce, which is that we made the Pro and Mega tiers 50% faster It's also kind of 50% cheaper per image, I think. It's like pretty big deal. Ideally, we would do that for everybody, but it uses these new servers that we don't have that many of yet. And so, as we have more servers, I think those benefits will come to more people. But for now, it's just for Pro and Mega. We also have an even higher tier of servers, which we have even fewer of. We're going to start making those available to the Mega tiers because there's not that many Mega tiers, I'm going to be honest. But the good thing about that is that, like, if we have a very small number of extra servers, we can throw them on there and then test things. So the Mega tiers will probably be close to being like turbo and free all the time, like free turbo effectively soon. Yeah, we have a lot of people who are on annual subscriptions, so basically it's sort of about picking your smallest user bases first and testing on them. And making it really easy for anyone to buy themselves into those user bases if they need to, if they like have a need for those things. So in some ways, it has like this weird effect of making like the pro deals like doubly worth it right now in the short term. So if you're running out of images, yeah, I would definitely consider upgrading to the pro term, like for at least a month, But maybe you'll like it, stay forever. Yeah. Yeah, we don't really need to give extra benefits to Pro and Mega because the new servers, it's a really good deal. It's a really good deal. What else is going on? I'd make inpainting faster at some point. It's a little slow right now. That's definitely a thing we don't like. Definitely seeing people do cool things with it. I keep forgetting. It's right. Let's see. It's around 12:22. So usually I forget. It's like about 20 minutes. I run out of things. Oh, we're gonna try to boot up some more crazy projects. Obviously, as always, there's something. We'll try to have something that's like a better describe at some point. We'll probably ship a much better describe before V6. We'll see. But we have some new text things that we're playing with that in theory will do much better describe. So we'll see about shipping that. Yes. I think that's it. Yeah, we will do better like syncing, like hard drive sync, Dropbox sync, cloud sync at some point. But probably after the website. Yeah. Okay, so let's do a lightning round where people ask questions in the VC Tech channel. I will answer questions for a tiny bit, and then we'll put some voices on, and then we'll do lightning, and then we'll do voice, and then we'll do lightning, and then we're done. All right, so the first lightning round is starting now. Type your questions in the VC Tech channel. Why not allow vary on older images? I guess it's possible. I could ask about it. Greek yogurt or regular yogurt? I'm not sure. Forgot the difference. It's just yogurt. Will we ever be able to select regions of a supplied URL, then describe what is in those regions to the AI so it looks like what it's looking at? We will make it easier at some point for people to teach the AI, but this will probably take a few months before we have anything like that. We will have an upscaler at some point, but probably in V6. We're not really sure about user uploaded images because we should probably do something at some point there, but it adds a lot of moderation pain for us. So I think we need to, we're trying to not kill ourselves with weird things that need to be moderated. So we'll see eventually, but we're trying to get through our current moderation things first. Will there be a Midjourney API? Yeah, one day. We're not really rushing for it because things are changing too fast still, and we don't really want people to build businesses around an API because it's going to change too much. I think at some point it's more of like a world engine or It's not really like a fast artist. It's more of like a slow world engine or game engine, rendering engine. And as it becomes more of like a rendering world engine, I think it would be more important to have APIs. Right now, I don't really want people to make like logo creation startups or something around an API. So don't really want, yeah. Um, is there a V6 Niji? There will be a V6 Niji. It will probably come after the normal V6 release. We will probably do an improved UI at some point around zooming and panning and in painting, but I don't know when. And we don't really want to delay our main website for that. So we're gonna try to do something, but I don't know. We don't have anyone to work on it right now. To be honest, the in painting stuff I pushed our website like behind 2 weeks, which was not ideal. And so we have to be really careful about those kinds of features. Like we literally can't work on everything. For 3D, we just need 3D data. The turbo is just going to be really fast. Like Mega is just going to be really fast. We're giving it the newer GPUs, so it should be almost as fast as turbo all the time. You'll have to try it. And if we do a new describe feature, it'll probably be like a lot more accurate. So you're more likely to get descriptions that look like that make an image that look like the image. I will have some other features too, but they're related to that, but I'm kind of working on them still. How do I keep remote people happy? I don't know. I need to like have a happiness meter. Are you happy? Are you happy every day? I don't know. We work on cool stuff. People are working hard. There's a lot of like freedom in general, and people are independent. And like, yeah, if you pay people well and you give them a lot of autonomy and they're working on something cool, I think most people are happy. We have a good group too, so everybody's cool on the group, and that's important. We have a good group. MP3 zips prompts, that'd be really cool. I really want to do like music to image, but yeah, I don't know when we're gonna do it. When we do 3D, we'll probably have several formats, but we haven't decided yet what formats we're going to do. Are there real life communities that represent Midjourney and its value? I don't know. Probably not, or else I would be there. I usually make something if I feel like that there's a place that I want to be that doesn't exist. That would be nice if be cool if there were more options on things, but in general, we're going to try not to expose too many options. In general, if the options like create paralysis and makes it more work on us to like provide user interfaces and testing. So we're trying not to have too many parameters just for our own sanity, everybody else's. And I apologize every once in a while if it doesn't give you like the control you want. Will higher resolutions take more than a year to ship? No. Hopefully V6 will be higher resolution. It'd be cool to do SVG type stuff, but we probably won't for a while, ever. I'm not sure. It'd be cool, but I'm just not sure if we'll ever do it. What is the future of Niji? Yeah, I think the thing that Niji people are most excited about right now are control net type features and video. They're also kind of interested in 3D because the 3D features seem to work on anime. So you get these kind of like 3D anime is really hard and unusual. But I think they're most excited about control net and video. If we make an API, it'll probably be when the stuff is a bit more stable and we have a lot of extra bandwidth to moderate the developer ecosystem, because we don't really want an unmoderated developer ecosystem. So if we do an API, it'll probably be, unfortunately, more locked down than the Apple Store. But I mean, there are a lot of legitimate use cases for an API that would certainly pass like the Apple Store type vibes. V6 will probably have a different personality. Yes. We're trying to give it a much wider personality, so it's sort of like a much more diverse images. Probably not going to do zoom in for a while. We don't have a clear plan on how that would work, but maybe one day. V6 is coming along. Greek yogurt sounds good. Restore the creation date on downloads. Yeah, that seems like a reasonable piece of feedback. I'll pass that to the team. I just did that. Thank you for that feedback. What else we got here? V6 will have more data than V5. We don't know how many. We don't know yet what the data set for V6 is going to look like exactly. It's still kind of coming along, to be honest. I think there will be a V7 or a V8 that is much, much, much more data than V6. So we're trying to sort of expand our data sets to contain more like obscure knowledge about like animals and trees and weird species and places and stuff like that. And we haven't really finished that effort yet. So there's a lot to be done on giving the system like more knowledge as well as like a finer eye for detail. If I did need to think about moderation, what kind of features would you put in? I mean, you could just let everyone do anything, right? That'd be fun. Not currently working on a zoom in feature. Not currently working on SVG stuff. No plans to work on SVG stuff. I'm sorry. It would be cool. It's just not clear it's like worth the effort. Yeah. I'm sorry. It'd be cool, but I'm just not sure it's worth the effort. Yeah, how do you balance moderation? It's really hard. There's no you kind of like I think with moderation you're always gonna feel a little bad no matter what. Like whether you're banning like a Nazi for life who maybe like needs to use Midjourney for their mental health and or something, like you still feel weird to like you ban someone for doing too many boobies because whatever, boobies aren't evil. Like you kind of just don't really feel good no matter. I think moderation is hard, and it's kind of always like there's no. I don't know if there's like a perfect system, so it's kind of like the choice between a large number of imperfect outcomes. You try to obviously make it good as often as possible, but you probably can't prevent some bad things from happening. So yeah, we do our best. I think PG-13 is good guideline. I think we don't necessarily allow PG-13 everywhere. Like PG-13 is actually like maybe not okay when it comes to like certain topics. Like but yeah. Usually involving like real people. We're like a little bit more careful. We probably don't allow PG-13 on like real people always. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have a lot of polls on the web app. At some point we'll actually reward people probably a little for polls, and we'll ask a lot more and see how it goes. It's fun that people like what you want more polls. That's fun. Yeah, user aesthetic profiles. We should probably do something there, but I think we're still trying to figure out what it looks like, to be honest. You will be able to download all of your images at some point, yes. Okay. Um, yeah, we don't make that much money on Midjourney doesn't make that. Midjourney's not really Midjourney's really expensive to operate. So even though there's a lot of people paying, like we spend almost all of our money on the servers, and we're building out more servers right now, both for training the next generation models and for like just making sure there's enough at the end of the year and next year. So a lot of the yearly subscriptions are basically being like liquidated into server infrastructure for the next year. The yearly subscriptions are really nice for us because it lets us sort of say like, okay, we have this money to operate the business for the next year. How do we sort of spend it proactively in a way that like provides the best service? Whereas the monthly subscriptions are a lot harder because you don't necessarily know if that monthly subscription is going to be there next month. You have to be a lot more conservative with how you spend things. And especially when it comes to like large numbers of servers, it's much harder. I think people are happier with inpainting than I thought. Yeah, like I was kind of hoping the feature would work a little better in general, but I think within the certain scopes, it works quite well. How many Midjourney images are made every day? A lot. Yeah. If you made a sound for every cat image, it would just be like a purr. Like there's just that many cats being made. I think we have basic interfaces and advanced interfaces already in a lot of ways. But we want to be careful not to make the advanced interface really advanced, the basic interface really basic. So I think we try to have something that's like generally pretty good for everyone. Yeah, all the time. No, I think V6 will be before Christmas. I would be, yeah, I would be freaked out if V6 was not released this year. It's absolutely released this year. Yeah, we could have released something like V6 like this month, but wanted to push a little harder to make it better. So hopefully V6 is still a somewhat near-term thing. Oh man, I got really behind on these questions. Yeah, V6 should be high resolution, better at understanding prompts, better image quality, more diverse aesthetics. Wow, what's going on here? I'm just like scrolling a little bit further. Definitely run for president. Ugh. Looking for what questions? I got like 5 minutes behind on the questions. Will fingers and toes be improved? Yes. Anything that got better from V4 to V5 should continue to get better from V5 to V6. There will be a smartphone app at some point. Okie dokie. So let's take some voice questions now. Lightning round is over.
Hello, David.
Hello.
The new feature is great, but what made me more think was the pop-up. What's now possible? Do you think you could make it that we select a multi-prompts for specific areas, so we can just alter one area to be, I don't know, a banana, and the other is still the complete prompt for an ape or stuff like that?
I mean, you can do that already with the in-painting a little bit. I think we will do more advanced features to the pop-up, but we're probably going to focus those more on things like big batches and like image ranking or voting, and probably less on things like more complicated editor features.
So no gigantic mosaic where we can place many little prompts all over the place to create an endless image?
Not for now. It would be cool though.
Oh, and one part of you said the people may be liking more the boring images in ranking. Maybe you could rename the skip button into a bad button, then it will be used more often. And if both are boring or uninteresting, we can skip them more often and easily.
Yeah, I think the rating is going okay right now. I don't know if there's any specific problem with the rating. I think it's going well. We might change it in the future, but we're not super focused on the rating right now because we, yeah,
Bigger problems.
yeah, bigger problems. It's working well.
And then that's it. Bye.
Thank you.
This
Hello, hello.
Well,
Congrats on getting in painting out. It's awesome. I'm wondering if you're feeling better about it now that it's released. Because I know you were a bit wishy-washy on in painting. But how are you feeling now that it's released?
yeah, I think the things that I maybe underestimated was like very few people who use Midjourney have like Photoshop subscriptions. And so a lot of people, if there's a problem in the image, they have no other way to fix the image except for something like inpainting. I think I maybe underestimated that a little bit. Yeah, I have a feeling there's like a lot of people who they don't know how to use Paint or GIMP or Photoshop or Affinity, Procreate. Like this is the only place where they make things. So the ability to then change anything is just like a really big deal for them. I think that's the biggest thing. I think there's also like a lot of really cool features when it comes to like adding accessories on characters or changing characters a bit. Oh, those two seem to be really great. Yeah, I don't know. I'm very happy with how happy people are. I'm very interested to see like whether the feature increases in use over time or decreases in use over time. Right now, people are using the in-painting feature about as much as the zooming out feature, which is interesting. Yeah, I consider the zoom out feature to be a pretty successful feature. So I guess that means the in-painting is quite successful too. I think there's still obviously a question of like, does that, because it's still new, you know, and the popularity is increasing as you will learn about it. And then like, will it become kind of like a staple of the workflow, like zooming out, or will it be, you know, will it go down or up or more? It's hard to say. So very interested to see like how those things move around, you know?
Yeah. How would you improve it if you could fix a couple things or improve a couple things for the initial release? What would you have hoped to get in there?
Sometimes the lighting is like not as good. Like I feel like sometimes I feel like sometimes the aesthetics aren't as good on the in-painting as they would be on a fresh generation. Not if you like ask it for a new face, but if you sometimes like they just won't match. It won't match as well. Like the thing around it, as if it was made from scratch. Sometimes maybe like we might try to push an update where instead of like 1 out of 4 of the things looking good, like 3 out of 4 look good. So we can probably improve like the number of things in the batch that look good just by some more tuning. We can probably, my biggest thing I really wanted was the ability to put something really out of place in a scene and have it look good. So like putting, you know, like the dolphin in the forest, something really like absurd. It'd be cool if you could like put really absurd things together and it would just look really good. But that just doesn't really work right now.
I don't understand fully yet.
It's kind of it's kind of a nuance that it has to do with the way that our Midjourney works on a technical level. The Midjourney works really differently than all the other image generation stuff. and it's like one reason why our stuff works better. But because of those technical differences, some things that would be easy for other people are going to be hard for us, and some things that are hard for others are going to be easy for us. So a lot of the controllability things are a little bit harder for us, unfortunately. But I mean, at the end of the day, I think making the picture look good matters the most. It's like the number one thing. So, and there's no reason why we can't make all these sort of features and controllable things inside of our system. It's just like a little bit more of a pain with our system than it would be with one of the other systems.
Gotcha. You guys are just built different, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's if you look at most of the AI researchers that work on these models don't actually look at the pictures very much. Ours do, but like most of the AI teams, like they like look at the loss value and what the error is, and then they just move on. And so when we look at a lot of pictures, so when you look at the pictures a lot, you make decisions about the technical elements of the system, which optimize for how the pictures look, And so I think a lot of the things that the other models been authorized around don't really make sense because they weren't looking at the pictures,
Yeah. Something I noticed, I've been playing around with just in-painting over the entire image and then running the prompt again. And I kind of noticed that there's some aesthetic differences when I do that and a bit more coherence, at least it feels like, and like the tests that I've run when doing that. Is there any chance that like the in-painting model is something different from V5.2?
It is a different model. There's a different in-painting model. It's a little slower right now than our normal model. And because it's slower, it is a little bit higher image quality. We might change that still because it is a little too slow. Like we're burning some very expensive, like exotic servers to try to make it not really slow, and it's still slow. So I sometimes when you do like we have like a thing that makes the models like 2x faster, but it might result in like a like a few percentage drop in certain types of quality. And we don't really like trade-offs very much, but the reason why we have to do that on the main models is that we literally don't have enough servers to let everyone make images if they are too slow,
Mm-hmm.
And at one point we want to do like the Q2 type thing, which would like make it slower and make it slightly higher image quality. But then everyone just told everybody to use Q2, and then like 40% of people were trying to use it all the time.
It just slows everything down.
And they just, again, don't have enough servers to do that. Yeah. I mean, we could potentially gate like a Q2 setting, because we could make 5.2 better too in the same way as that, just by default. But I mean, maybe that's just something we have to do maybe we could release that for like a pro tier or the mega tier. But again, the problem is just that it's like everyone starts to use it, and then we don't have enough GPU. We get GPU shortages, and then no one can use the service. So I think that's been a big challenge for us. It's just, managing that. So I think we pushed out the in-painting a little bit before doing that optimization. So if you have a very fine eye, you might notice the difference. So yeah, that's what we were talking about your tweet. So that's what we think is going on. That may not be exactly what's going on, but that's our current theory for what you're noticing.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe we'll try to see if we can release that. Like, maybe we can try to release the Q2 thing and like at the higher tier. Maybe there's an argument for that. Yeah.
It was interesting. I was definitely noticing with scenes where I was specifying lighting and had multiple sort of sources, like a red overhead light, for example. When using the in-painting, covering the whole image and running the prompt, I was able to get 2 of 4 results that actually listened. But then just running it in V5.2, it was more like 0 of 4, or I had to get really lucky for it to actually listen. So that was where I was like, something seems different here.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's, with some of these model changes, you're not going to notice it in 99% of situations, but then there's going to be this 1% of situation where it's totally different, you know? And that's because you kind of have like this model that's supposed to cover all possible things. And then there's always like these tails, like tail of a distribution, they call it, where it's like a very rare situation. And in that very rare situation, it makes a huge difference, you know? You'll always be able to find those sorts of situations with these other settings. And this is one reason why we didn't really want to put it up as Q2, because like people get really suspicious about Q2, and they want to use it all the time, even when it isn't making a difference.
Yeah.
And so it's literally kind of just burning extra GPUs. It's like a paranoia that doubles the cost of all the servers.
Can't believe you guys used the Q5.
Yeah, we used to have Q5 too. Yeah, I know when people didn't use Q5 as much as Q2. So yeah, there's some argument to do something there. I would almost prefer it if it was like more like an upscale, because what really burns the GPU is when they use it on all their images all the time. But if they wanted to make like a slight touch up on the final image, that would be, you know, to me, less of a big deal, because it's a lot cheaper to do that.
Like just upscaled image. So it just, or like be a new option on your upscaled image.
Like a new option on the upscale image. I'm not really sure what to do there. So, I mean, this is I think there's like a product challenge for us, which is that if there are things we can do to our models which make things better in a sort of non-predictable 2% of the time, like how do we expose that without it becoming like a superstitious 40% usage thing, you know?
Makes sense, yeah.
So I don't really know I don't really have a good sense of that.
This new pop-up window, I mean, it seems like it opens up a lot of interesting UI opportunities and little GUIs that you might be able to do. Do you have thoughts on what sorts of UI improvements you would do that you haven't been able to now with the pop-up?
We are going to do things around bigger grids, because if you have a bigger grid, there aren't enough buttons you can put underneath it, you know? So if we have bigger grids, we want to let you select the grid. We're probably going to do some things with like image ratings at some point, where you can rate images inside of Midjourney, inside of Discord. And then we might try like a fixed exchange rate at some point, where it's like 300 image ratings for 1 fast hour or something, you know, then eventually test it out with people who don't have payment information on our stuff. But yeah, so we're gonna try some things like that. But other things, I'm not sure next. The big grid is the main thing I'm thinking about in image rating. So yeah, those are the two main things.
Gotcha. Couple other quick ones. Something I've been noticing: permutations, they work in Remix. So I can open up my Remix window and run a permutation, but it doesn't work quite the same way. At least it doesn't seem like it sticks to it in the same way as if you go one by one. An example I'll give is if I'm aging a character through remixing. For example, I specify a 30-year-old, and then I remix to 20, 10, 40, 50. If I do it individually, it still keeps most of the composition like pretty much intact, like you would expect with the remix. But if I use a permutation and I put those values in there, I get different images that aren't in line with the image that I'm remixing. You know why this happens? Or
I don't totally follow exactly what you're describing, but maybe you can DM it to me and write it down.
Yeah, essentially, like when you use a permutation, it doesn't stick as closely to the image that you're remixing. It's almost as if like you're doing a very strong, compared to when you just do a remix by itself. You change like one detail, it resembles that initial image much, much more closely.
Permutation images are the same as regular images. It's just you're batch making a bunch of jobs at the same time.
Yeah, it's only within Remix. If I use the permutation with Remix, I can send some screen shares or like a little loom to.
Yeah, I don't I don't know a lot about permutation with remix. In theory, I don't know if those. We've never tested that before. So in theory, it should be the same, but I'm not. That was sort of outside the intended scope of the system.
Okay, I'll symbol that alone.
I can on that one a bit. Permutations plus remix briefly worked. Then there was a bug, and I don't think it's been fixed yet. But it does work as you expect it to sometimes. I have to double check and see if we're going to get that fixed or not.
Gotcha. Okay, good to know. Then the two really quick ones. Should we expect web to be released before mobile for the standalone?
I don't know. Probably.
Okay. And then on the 3D side of things, how do you sort of see pricing being impacted on the 3D side? Is it something that will be additional cost or part of like a separate plan? Or is it something that will just roll out like these other features included in your plan?
I think anybody will be able to make 3D stuff. It's possible we might like certain export formats, like maybe if people want to mesh out of it, it's like pro tier only or something. I don't know. But I think the goal is anyone will be able to make the basic 3D stuff. It's hard. I can't quite figure out which features to like price gate, that's been, I think it's been a bit conflicting because in general it would be nice if it's just only image making amounts that are different across the prices. But then there's certain features that like really most people don't need, like for example, exporting meshes.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's an argument to put that behind something, but I'm not sure. I'm a bit conflicted, to be honest. Like it'd be nice if there were things that got people to get the more expensive plans. We don't need to. I mean, we don't need it. It's just, but then at the same time, like there are businesses that use Midjourney, and when a business uses Midjourney, like it's not clear we should be like, but the problem is that a lot of people use it in sort of a commercially aspirational way. So we don't want to say that like the $30 one is non-commercial and the $60 tier is commercial,
Mm-hmm.
But if we say the stealth mode is on the $60 tier, then anybody who's working on an NDA project who's being paid,
Yep.
is kind of has to get it. But then like if you're working on an NDA project, paying $30 extra seems totally reasonable,
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of like, we're trying to not like, there's like, we're trying to figure out like what, like basically how do we, the pricing is really hard. I never really know what to do, to be honest. But yeah.
Well, just the fact that you're aspiring to keep 3D within the same plan, I think is huge. It seems like a lot of people are concerned that with 3D support comes like, more compute. Maybe it's going to be more expensive. I'm not going to have access on my regular plan. So
yeah, I mean, it might be more expensive than making a regular 2D picture. That seems not crazy.
Like more fast hours, you mean?
Yeah, probably. But I mean, everything's going to be getting cheaper over the next year in terms of fast hours. Like, for example, those new servers make things like 50% cheaper, basically. On the pro tier. So, I mean, everything's getting cheaper anyway. And so it's like basically the servers are going to make things cheaper. The algorithm's going to make things cheaper. And then the new formats will make things more expensive. And so like to some extent it will cancel out, and to some extent it will not cancel out. It's very hard to predict what the final price will be. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, awesome. That's all I had. Thank you for having me up here. And
Sure.
I'm gonna keep playing with some more painting fun stuff. See what comes up.
Sounds good. Thank you, Leo.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, you want another voice question or lightning round?
One more voice question.
Hey David, how are you?
Hello.
Um, I've been intrigued at the way you've approached building your companies. It kind of seems like both Leap Motion and Midjourney are like statement pieces to some extent in the way that you're building them. I mean, Midjourney with the office hours, using Discord, no investors. What is, now that we're far into Midjourney, like what have you taken from Leap Motion or left behind, or kind of the underlying message, like intentionally or unintentionally, that you're trying to tell to entrepreneurs or just the industry in general, with the way you've built and done things?
You're asking, like, what am I trying to tell the industry implicitly via Midjourney?
Yeah, like leading by example.
I mean, you don't need a lot of money to do AI. I think that's one thing. You don't need to raise $1 billion to do something in AI that's meaningful to millions of people. I think that's probably like one takeaway. I think another takeaway is that like there are crazy things left to build. Not everything is a like customer support startup. Obviously, customer support startups are great, and we would love to use one. But like, I think sometimes there's a lot of people who think that there's nothing cool left to make, and that's not true. I think that like venture capital can be really important, but most businesses in the world today and historically did not use venture capital. So by that, like definitionally, you can make a business without having venture capital. And that's how most businesses are made, again. That includes technology businesses. That's not to say that we would never raise money. There's a universe where we would have to raise money. But I think that the fact that we didn't speaks to this idea that, most companies are not venture funded, and that reality also applies to technology. I like this. There's something else that we do that's kind of special. Like, in a lot of ways, we are one of the largest community supported research projects ever. And I think that's cool and special. And the idea of community supported businesses, I think could be more of a thing. Like, I guess Kickstarter is a lot of like community supported stuff. But in this case, because the Midjourney stuff is a subscription, a community allows sort of like a continual making of things forever, which is cool. So I think the things like doing office hours is sort of inspired by how when Leap Motion got over 30 or 50 people, it became hard to kind of have a coherent message internally. And then doing office hours internally were really important to kind of create a coherent culture and story. And so I didn't see any reason why we couldn't do that at 1 million person scale with Discord. So I think that's really cool. I definitely think that more businesses should do that. I think if Mark Zuckerberg did that, it would make a big improvement to how people perceive Facebook even. Like it works at any scale. It works at like a small company or a giant company. It's sort of scale invariant. So I think that's something that, like, in fact, in some ways, to me, it almost seems suspicious that more companies don't do it, because it's like sort of so obvious and so easy to do. Like, not everybody has to do it every week like me, because honestly, it's hard to do it every week like this. But I mean, there's no reason why, they couldn't do it once a month or once every 2 months, once every 3 months, And so sometimes I almost wonder if like people care, if other companies care, it's like, hey, it's like, maybe they didn't think about it before, but when they see people like, if they see us doing it, like, and they care, like, why wouldn't you do it like once a year, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. What else?
Is there anything that has surprised you or been unexpected with the Midjourney team? It's just relatively a small team, but you guys are just destroying the industry right now, and you guys have been working so hard. So is there like something internal that you wish everyone would know about the people like working behind the scenes, or something, an interesting takeaway from Midjourney specifically?
We have a great team. I have built many teams before. So like one part is like I've built. There aren't that many people in the AI space who have built AI teams before. It sounds weird, but like most AI companies, most AI teams are like the first teams or companies those people have ever made. And so they're making like a lot of rookie mistakes that, I mean, I made too. Doesn't matter how smart you are, everybody kind of makes the same mistakes the first time they make a team. I wish we didn't all make the same mistakes, but we basically do. And so I'm probably unfortunately, I might be one of the only people in the space that have actually built teams before. So I'd like to think that I built, this team learning from a lot of lessons from the old teams. So it's like that's good. I mean, everybody's great. Everybody is like independent, self-organized. We don't have any managers, for better or for worse. A little bit like Valve. Valve has no managers, and has no investors. I don't know if we'll ever be as big as Valve. Like Valve has like 300 people and no managers. That's like a lot. They also have a stack ranking system, which we don't have. So we would have to invent some other mechanism that like allows the scale. But yeah, I don't know. It's in some ways a lot of companies raise a lot of money and build really big teams, and big teams don't get more done. So yeah, I mean, sometimes, I mean, I don't want to like self criticize or make it sound like we aren't special, because we are. But I mean, to be honest, like big teams just don't get more. It's not that small teams necessarily get more done. It's not that small teams get more done than big teams. It's that big teams don't get more done than small teams. It's that like as you hire more people, you don't get more done. In fact, the productivity of a team is almost logarithmic with the size. So if you make like a company 10 times bigger, you almost can only work on twice as many things. Almost impossible to scale a company or a project. So in many ways, like we kept ourselves small. We try to keep ourselves as small as possible. And so, I mean, yeah, I think we're pretty efficient. So that's good. But I mean, the biggest thing is just like, yeah, keep the team small, try to be focused. Yeah, I mean, small focused teams is probably the key. Like, yeah. I mean, in some ways, actually, our team is very big. Like, to my knowledge, our image research team is like 5 times bigger than the OpenAI image research team. So like in some ways, it's really big. But then in other ways, like, our company is 20 times fewer employees than OpenAI. So we have like, 5 times as many image researchers, but like 20 times fewer people. So like in some ways we're big, in some ways we're small. I think it's hard to really, yeah. So like I would think maybe more than big or small, I would say we are focused. Like we're focused on the impact we can have. We're focused on the most important things. We talk to the community a lot to try to figure out what we should do, and we're dynamic and aware. Yeah, and we're trying to learn a lot, and we're trying to push ourselves and do weird things and crazy things and the biggest things we can do.
Yeah, it feels very cohesive between the office hours, the vision, the team. That's why I brought up the question is, I mean, I'm in the community part. Even the fact that I mentioned before, like that I could do these office hours, it's like crazy. But just the way everything feels, it just feels like this. It like alluded to the essence of the paradigm, the way like AI will transform many industries, things. It won't really be a new version of the old thing. It'll be a paradigm shift. It's very refreshing the way Midjourney has felt as a total experience. I would say it feels like a new paradigm. That's where that question kind of stemmed from. So yeah, cool thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the nicest things any other entrepreneur ever said about me, I think it was like Bill Warner. He invented like video editing basically. And he said, he was one of my mentors, he's still a mentor. And he said something, I think in like a newspaper once, about how like David's biggest superpower is that he makes things simple, even for himself or something. Like there's a real element of like trying to make things simple and then being focused on that simple thing. And an awful lot of companies and places are not focused, and they don't try to make things simple. And I think there's a lot honestly, there's a lot to that. And there's probably one other thing is like, yeah, you try to make things simple. You try to be focused, and then the simple and focused things should just be really big. There's a strong argument that nothing we ever try to do, we ever really get all the way on. Almost never all the way. Like maybe on average, we get like 30% of our goals. So that means but in a lot of ways, like you only get 30% of your goals done regardless of how big your goals are. So you might as well just make your goals as big as possible, because like whatever your goals are, you're still going to get 30% of them done. And so just try to like really big, really simple, really focused. And then the other thing a lot of people like, I think misunderstand, like both broadly in the world and especially in an entrepreneurial sense, is that like hard things are not harder than easy things, because great people like to work on hard things. And so you often, if you work on something hard, you get great people who want to work on it. And then in some ways the great people and the hardness of the problem like cancel out, and it's the same as if you were trying to make something easy and you couldn't get great people to work on it. Yeah. Like it's usually hard to get great people to work on easy things. So usually you get mediocre people working, I mean, I don't want to say it in a bad way, but usually you get like normal people working on easy things, and then you have great people working on sort of really hard things. And so they kind of cancels out. So like easy things and hard things are basically the same. And so you might as well be like focused and simple and trying to do really hard things and get really great people on it. And it's basically going to be just as hard as if you were trying to like start a grocery store. Even though like obviously like, starting a grocery store is an important thing, and I go to grocery stores, but it's kind of crazy that in some ways, like I think like starting a grocery store or managing a gas station is in some ways like as hard as most of the things tech companies do. Yeah. But sometimes it's like your belief and your determination to actually do the crazier thing, you know?
Yeah, that is, I resonated with that incredibly. That is really true. I'm kind of like mind blown. That is an essence of kind of what I've always believed at my core, but I've never heard it articulated that way. Especially kind of the way I could have before this conversation phrased it is like, anything I've shot for, shoot for the big thing, because when you aim for the big thing, wherever you land, it tends to be way more interesting. And getting good people to work on hard problems. I have a friend who's obsessed with Halo, so he had me like replay the original Halos, and just the limitations they were working with, to some extent, were limited in the field of AI, just because it's new and you have to solve all these interesting problems. It is cool to work on things that gather capable talent. So yeah, I guess that just like wraps up. You definitely answered my question with it, because I could just feel through experiencing Midjourney as a user, it just feels like the new paradigm. I'm kind of at a loss for words. Just this was very helpful. Thank you for that insight.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we all make mistakes, and we all kind of have trauma. Really, the only thing that really makes those mistakes or trauma better is like doing things differently and better. So like there were a lot of mistakes I made in the past with say Leap Motion, and a lot of pain from that in some ways, and I just try to like learn from it and do things better and do things differently. And that's not necessarily specifically about investors, say, but just about in general. Like you try to like learn from things and do it differently and do it better. And I think if we could just sort of be determined as a society to be that way, like things should just always be getting better. We should always be feeling better. And I think the challenge is like, if we repeat the same mistakes over and over again, or if we let our trauma prevent us from like doing something great. Leap Motion, not Magic Leap. For anyone in the audience, there's a difference.
I think that's it. I'm mind blown. That
No worries.
was a very great answer. Okay, thank you so much as always.
Thank you.
Have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Okay. Oh, okay, lightning round. Yeah. Is Midjourney 3D going to be like this? No. Yes, we do weird things. My Twitter profile picture, I don't remember. It was like an image prompt of my face plus like library or something. Can we have the ability to transfer seeds over to another Midjourney user? You can send an image to somebody and you can send the prompt and the seed. So you can kind of do that already. We have remove feature like Fireplane. You can remove the selected. I'm not sure what that means. I'm sorry. I don't know when V6 will come out. It's more than 2 weeks. Less than 2 months. Yeah, well, blending in the inpainting, it does work, I think. You can do image. I'm not sure what that means. But you can do image prompts inside the inpainting. Will there be education plans? Maybe. Solar flares would be bad. We should be making our power grids more robust to solar flares. I think solar flares are actually like a pretty big danger, kind of like COVID. Nobody cared until it happened. I think negative prompting in theory should be the same in V4 as V5. I'm not necessarily sure why it would be different, for whatever it's worth. I think we're avoiding a Midjourney that is sort of like a conversational agent. We'll play with it as a concept. Right now, the latency is too high. It doesn't feel good. But I think our goal is for Midjourney not to be like an AI agent, more of like a vehicle. Why it's a little sailboat, not a robot. It's like a vehicle that like how you use a car to move. We want you to use Midjourney to imagine. It's like a vehicle for imagination. A little sailboat on the sea of imagination. I like zoom out better than in painting still myself, but maybe it's just me thing. I think they're both good features though. I might do a poll soon, ask people to vote between the two. Yeah, if you're having a problem with negative prompting, maybe go to prompt chat and ask questions. If I could deconstruct Mercury, but we're not allowed to use the resources to build self-replicating robot space armies, would I do it? Well, yeah, we could deconstruct Mercury to build all sorts of things. Like giant computer. Yeah, I don't know when video is happening. Probably within the next, I think video should happen in the next 6 months. In theory, video and 3D will happen in the next 6 months, and then they'll both be 3D video at the same time. Hard to say. We are using new GPUs on the Mega and the Pro tier. Good one. I don't think it's illegal to murder a planet if it's one's on it. It's a rock. We're calling inpainting still 5 inpainting in 5.2 because we haven't changed the not really a different model or something, but yeah. Yeah, I hope the 3D would happen last year, but it just didn't happen. Hopefully this year. I think it'll happen this year. We have some good proof of concepts now. We had proof of concepts last year too, but they're moving. It's looking better still. Okay, maybe I'll try not to disassemble the moon. I don't think we want to do comments on images. When will it be possible to make your unscripted movie? I don't know. More than a year, less than 6. Yes, the story team is doing cool things. I'm excited. Consistent characters will happen probably after V6. Something like Pan could rotate the camera one day. Yes. Yeah, at some point we'll let people choose the size of the grid. Midjourney will improve at both letters and words. We do plan to continue making Midjourney available on Discord, even when there is a website or a mobile app. Would it be a Midjourney VR application? I don't know. Maybe. Luigi Laura's. I don't know. Maybe. I don't think Laura's are often necessary, but it's hard to say. Will Midjourney still be around in 10 years? I hope so. I'm trying to make a long-term institution. Like, in some ways, I'm like more inspired by Craigslist than by Facebook. Well, Craigslist is just like, is like just been around for a really long time, and no one could really beat it. And they have no investors, and they have a small team, and they make a big impact. Obviously, Craigslist doesn't change very much. But they do put a lot of their extra money into philanthropy, so that's really cool. Valve also is like a long-term institution. So, I mean, right now, there's not that many sort of things like Midjourney. I guess the closest thing would be like Craigslist, Valve, or Wolfram, Mathematica people. But Valve is 300 people, Wolfram is like 3,000 people, and Craigslist is like 30. So in some ways, we're closer to Craigslist. I'm not going to buy Stable Diffusion. That'd be weird. I don't really think we want to buy other companies. Usually buying companies is bad. Okay. I think that's not many more things, so we can do a few more voice questions, and maybe that's it for today. I'm a pretty simple pizza, pretty good. But I mean, also like meat pizzas. I don't want recommending meat pizza makes you feel like a barbarian. Like, oh my god, you eat animals, David. But I mean, obviously, animals do taste good. Uh, Vegetable pizzas are good too. Honestly, all pizzas are pretty good. Transparent backgrounds are something we can do, but I don't think we know if we should. Problem is a lot of those features don't feel like something that's useful all the time, but it would be useful some of the time. So yeah. I have not tried eating bugs. I don't think we're going to do a $5 Midjourney subscription. We could do one that's like outside of the United States and Europe, like for countries with lower income potentially. But for in Europe, they don't see $5 and $10 is not important for most people. And painting isn't 5.3, no. It's called Midjourney because I feel like too many people. A lot of people act like we have no past, and a lot of people act like we have no future. But I feel like we're Midjourney, where we have a rich and incredible past behind us and a amazing and unimaginable future ahead of us. Aliens may or may not know whether vampires are real. I imagine some aliens would know. Do we have any voice people who want to talk?
Sure. I wasn't sure when I'd start talking, but hello, David. I guess the question I posted, and I heard the video comments and stuff, is given what you have in development right now, like, how does it look compared to like Runway Gen 2? Do you think it's better or worse, about the same? Like when you launch it, do you hope it'll be like 10 times better, or like what's your trajectory like right now for the video stuff?
So to my knowledge, most of the companies doing video are basically taking like Stable Diffusion and just making it a video. They're not really kind of innovating that much on the core stuff. And so I would expect most of and then I think video in general makes things look worse right now. So I would my sort of like rule of thumb is like most video it's like basically Stable Diffusion made for video, and it's going to look worse than Stable Diffusion because the motion doesn't look good. And so if all we did was just implement the naive thing, it would look worse than Midjourney, but it would look a lot better. But it would look a lot better than Stable Diffusion. So like I think just the naive implementation would look a lot better than anything out there. But then we're going to try to do some novel things as well, because that's what we do. So I would expect our video to be like 10x better than anything else. And so in general, like there are a lot of small AI groups right now that are trying to raise money from investors to do like video or like image models. Oh, we can draw words and Midjourney can't, or we can make video and Midjourney can't. And it's like, come on, man, we can make pictures of literally anything on Earth. Of course we can do it with a word in it, or make it move. It's just obviously the core model is the thing that determines a lot of the quality. So it makes sense for us to invest in the core model before a feature that, like, frankly, I think, most people like doesn't add linearly more value. Like video will cost more than twice as much, but I don't think it will add twice as much value for the average person, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And usually like 10 times as much, but does it create 10 times as much value? No. If anything, it might be worse because the video looks bad. The video looks bad, and like the better the image quality looks in a lot of ways, the harder it is to make the video look good. So yeah, I'm not very optimistic about the survival of any AI company trying to do like a specific area of like the, visual stuff and thinking that that's going to be like a moat. I feel a little bad for them because there's sort of like no hope to compete in my mind. But I think a lot of them are not trying to build companies. They're just trying to like sell they're trying to like make a company, spend 6 months on it, and then try to sell it to Adobe. So I think there's a lot of kind of like bad faith AI products and companies where they're really not trying to build anything that's real. They just want to, like, in some ways it's like a portfolio for a job offer from a big tech company. So yeah, I mean, from the outside it can seem like video would be different than images, or from the outside it could seem like that because somebody else is building a company, they have some intention to like build a long-term thing. But I think the reality is that like, yeah, the make like video and images, like the video is an extension of images, and 3D is an extension to images. And the best image stuff will have the best video and will have the best 3D. And then by a huge factor. And then that most people are not that serious about their companies and startups. They just want to like, it's kind of like a get rich quick scheme. That usually fails. So yeah, I wish I wasn't more bitter about that, but I really do feel like I've had some AI people come to me, and you know, I'm like, hey, like, why don't we ship this thing together? We could get like, we could try to make some amazing thing and get it to 1 million people in 2 months. And like some AI people are like, I want like $1 billion. Like, why do you want $1 billion? Like, what is that? That's like, they kind of have these insane, like the idea is it's not about like making an impact. It's about like trying to just make a lot of money and then get out. And usually because they don't even care about it, like, or they're just in it, like it's just fucked up. And so it kind of triggers me. And I think a lot of the small startups are just, they're kind of in it for the wrong reasons. Yeah, like, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of really important things here. It's like the future of like the human imagination, like the future of like these collective, like there's like these sort of collective consciousness. There's like this aesthetic singularity. Like we're going to have more visual exploration in the next year or two than like potentially all prior human history. And it's essentially like the hint of like these greater hive minds that explore broad spaces of possibility. And there's like all this really important humanistic stuff that's like really big. And then a lot of these, and then you have a lot of small labs that are like, I could try to get $1 million from a different funds. I think one of my favorite conversations was there was an AI person who's like, oh, I'm going to make so much money and I'm going to build God. And I'm like, if you're building God, what do you need money for? Like, is God going to charge you money to get into heaven? And they like literally didn't know how to respond. And so a lot of it is like, I mean, to be fair, like, it's easy to grow up in need in an environment where you never had enough and like where there wasn't enough food on the table. And you will then think about trying to get to a point where you always have enough food on the table and where you always have enough. And that's like a totally fair thing. And I shouldn't speak down to that. But I do think that people often don't want money. They want something that money represents. They want like love or security. And that in some ways, if you want those things, it's better to seek those things directly, in my mind. Yeah. Sorry, long answer.
No, I appreciate that. It's good to get your thoughts behind why you do what you do and sort of the impetus and stuff. But
yeah, I mean,
I'd love to think that's better.
I'd love to see like another AI. Whenever anybody does discover something new in AI, it's like the greatest thing. I would love to have like, in some ways, I would love to have a competitor.
Yeah.
But usually, unfortunately, my career has mostly been like me being really passionate about something and having these awesome teams where we make really cool new stuff. And then a lot of other people are just like, hey, I could make money off of doing what they're doing. And then like usually we don't learn as much from them. Yeah. I mean, there's also a lot of people just like implementing papers. So this is another weird thing. Like some people think that like AI is just, implementing papers, but almost all the papers don't work, which is like kind of was it red pill, black pill? I forget what they call that. But like it's crazy that like most AI papers don't work. Like most academic papers are not true. I mean, they're not even peer reviewed most of the time, Like a lot of these are just things that are posted to like Archive, which is like a preprint server, And like there's like a lot of, I used to have a person at Leap who just spent all day, every day for years just implementing papers, because like there's all these papers coming out all the time, right? So if they just implement papers all the time, we'll be able to use those things. But then like only like 1 out of 10 things that they implemented from papers ever actually worked, and all the other papers didn't actually work. And then we kind of got through it and we're like, it's just not even worth implementing the papers. A lot of people learn this lesson the hard way over time in the AI field. And I think like Andre Kaparthi even said publicly, I think, that like he doesn't even really look at individual papers. He just looks at trends across many papers. And usually the only thing you can trust is that the trends across papers are true. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, me just ranting a little bit now, but I'll let you, if you have any other questions, I'll be to answer.
No, it's the main one. I mean, I use Midjourney every day, and I also use Gen 2 every day, because that's what I think is the best stuff right now in terms of what I can use. And so just hearing that you have AI coming is
I don't know
video.
Well, Gen 2 versus, I think it's like Pika too. I don't really know if Gen 2 or Pika are better, but yeah,
I think Gen 2 better than Pika. It can do what I want it to do. Let's say that. Like, there's a certain thing I want it to do, and it can do it. And so that's the only one I find valuable at the moment. But if you're saying it's 10x better, I mean, that makes me very interested to see what you can do, and if that 10x is the dimension that I want it to be in.
Yeah, I mean, we don't fully know yet what 10x better means. I think we just know it's going to be a lot better. Yeah. And I mean, yeah. Yeah, I've been kind of excited. I like it how the fluids and the smoke looks cool in the Gen 2 and the Pika. I think that's kind of like, sometimes you learn something from somebody doing something. And that was cool to see that like fluids work, really well. Yeah.
Yeah, and the fluid stuff I think is much more. I mean, it's always easier because there's less specificity to it, like a face or something like that. But I think that the most interesting one is not even the image prompting. It's just the word prompting. Just purely here's an image, make it move. That's the only thing I use. It's the most valuable. So if that's good in the next sort of your video and what you do next, that is by far the most interesting thing for me. Because that and the most this directable, even though it's completely undirectable, it's the most useful tool that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I feel like if somebody was going to try to compete with us, it would be like trying to make a video thing where you can like give really detailed descriptions about what you want to happen in the video, like in some way, but like the fact that a lot of these they use the image and it just kind of moves, right? Or do you give it direction specific what the image is supposed to do? I guess you do that too.
No, there's no direction right now, but you have to figure out what it can do. So if you can get it to do what you want, usually how you set up the frame of the picture can help in that direction, but it's completely undeterministic. But in some ways I like that, because that's what I like about Midjourney, is not what I can make it do specifically, but what it does sort of randomly, almost serendipitously. That is by far the most enjoyable part of Midjourney, is what you don't expect versus what you do expect. And so I hope that serendipity remains, which is a kind of an amorphous, kind of undefinable term, but it is the happiness that comes out of my usage of Midjourney. And if that can translate to video, that would be a huge win. And Midjourney is already like, I think 10x or more better than any other AI image generator for what I do. I think it depends what you do. But if that's translate to video, then that's a big deal. It's a very big deal.
Yeah, we're in the process of gathering our video data right now. I think we're gonna have like 100 times more video data than anyone else. It's gonna be crazy. And then our models are already better, so it's gonna be it's not gonna be very fair.
I'm glad it's not fair. As long as it makes me happy, that
yeah, we lower. In theory, the area that we're being most better is anywhere where it starts from an image, because obviously like our video models are in some ways just an image model that makes a sequence of images instead of one image. And so like that's just going from one image to a thing that are so best. That we're probably not going to do as well because we just don't have a team for it on the data side is like, yeah, like labeling the actions and being like, I want somebody to do this specific kind of dance or something, you know? So I would expect us to do really good image to video, but not necessarily really good video, text-driven video, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they don't do that well either. I don't think anybody does that well.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why it's hard to do that is you have to like, it's a data investment. You have to like invest in somebody describing the actions of videos, and it's not just like a paper. And it's like, I think it's kind of known how to do it, but it just involves a lot of work. So, and my invention is a lot of these companies are kind of just trying to. I mean, the average venture company, I think it's hard to understand, but like, once somebody has money from investors, they usually have no immediate plans on how to become a business. So usually the business plan is do something that people like and talk about and then raise more money. And so a lot of the other startups right now are just trying to get attention so they can raise more money and survive, which is, yeah. And that's like like usually it's like you have a pile of money and you're burning it to the ground, and then you have to make sure somebody else gives you more money before the pile finishes burning.
Yeah, that's definitely the turbo wheel that you're on if you're in that sort of successive raises from different VC to time, and your story has to get bigger time. So that's why I love it.
Yeah, luckily we're not in that cycle, so it's very refreshing that we don't have to talk about, you know, try to brag or anything. And yeah, if anything, I try not to brag about how like I think our video model will be the best model. It's going to be huge. I feel like I'm just sort of sad that there's all these other groups that are usually just trying to like flip their company to Adobe or something. And like instead of working on the most important thing they could do for the world.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, you know, I do like the model, and I hope it remains at least heavily slanted in the direction, which is that the people you are beholden to are the users, the people who use your product, because they pay for it. They fund you. And whoever gives you the most money will probably be the people that you have to listen to, just given the way economics work. And so if you can be beholden to the users, I think that'd be amazing.
Yeah, so that's what we are right now. We're basically beholden to the users. We're basically a community funded research lab. Yeah, and that's one reason why we do these polls all the time, and one reason why I do the office hours. We're just trying to understand like what we should do and what people want. And I think honestly, one of the biggest challenges right now is like sometimes people just want whatever other companies are doing. Like I will see, you know, other people doing, you know,
right.
And so that's, for example, nobody's really seen anything yet with big grids. So nobody's really asking for big grids, you know, but people are seeing.
Yeah.
And so it's hard. That's probably the hardest thing to weigh for us right now. My current plan is we're kind of doing half and half. Like I would say half of our resources. No, actually, God, it's probably more than that. Like 70% of our resources are basically going into the exact things that people are asking for. And like 30% are going into things that nobody really asks for, but we think will just be awesome. And so hard to say if that's. Or.
Yeah. I mean, I hope some of that 30% is doing stuff that is completely insane, that it's like pie in the sky craziness that hopefully one of those ideas, that 10%, is going to shoot the moon and do something interesting and pushing things forward. But that sounds, I like that model for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say what the right balance is. I think in this specific case, I think normally it'd be like 50%. But the reason why it's like 70% is probably just because like a lot of things the community wants are also aligned with what we want. So for example, we want better image quality and we want higher resolution. We want faster image generation, even though the community doesn't seem to want that as much, but we think it's important.
Oh, I definitely want that. I use turbo mode 100% all the time, and that's all I use. It's good to hear that even that turbo is about as fast, but speed is is so key to my flow for what I do.
Yeah,
And
I can't stand that. I
Yeah.
can't stand not using turbo anymore. I'm so sorry for everybody who isn't on turbo all the time. It is literally, it is like, so like, okay, just for everyone's like reference, like turbo mode cost, you should try it for like 2 jobs, okay? Just to like try it. Everyone should just try it for a job or 2, like who cares? But then the second thing is like, it costs twice as much money. And it's literally, it's not that we're trying to make money off turbo mode. It literally costs us exactly twice as much money. So like we have 0 additional margin on turbo jobs. We just think that turbo jobs are great. And, you know, if everyone used turbo jobs, I don't know, actually probably we'd run out of machines, but in the future we'll have enough machines. But like,
I would pay more money for it. Honestly, like if you, like I said this and people said, I hope they never hear this, but I tweeted this once, which is like, if you charge me twice as much money and for the same thing, use, I enjoy it so much that I would pay double and like, and still use it because I just enjoy it. But the turbo mode, like I ran out like less than halfway through the month and I just paid for more and got more because it was just like so useful for me because that speed is just so, like I said, addictive, but it's also, it allows my imagination to continue versus like continually sort of pausing and waiting for the next render to happen.
yeah, my favorite thing, if anybody wants to go nuts, is do permutations and turbo at the same time. That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, I heard like Clown Vamp did that. He talked about permutations plus turbo, and that is like insane. I haven't used the sort of the permutation stuff as much, but I definitely, he mentioned that.
Yeah, I love, yeah. I mean, I think most people don't actually, I think most people have not seen how fast turbo is yet. And so if you're ever showing it to your friends, like throw on turbo mode because it's like a much better demo with the turbo mode on.
Yeah, it's all worth it. I mean, it's all worth it. I mean, the other thing I'll say for you guys in terms of value, like why would I use you guys, aside from quality, let's take quality out because it's obviously better. But looking at like, hey, like why would you use this versus like just spinning up your own servers and doing it yourself? Is that because I've done that? I hate managing servers and I hate having to keep up with the latest versions and upgrading stuff and then figuring out what the GPUs are and upgrading to that. And so just having the ability just to do it from my phone or my desktop or anywhere, and all the compute is in the cloud and I do not have to worry about managing it is a massive win for me because it just, all the time it's sucked into just tinkering with the machine and being limited by it because you have to buy all the hardware and all that kind of stuff. And so even that by itself is high value to me because I just don't want to worry about that. For people who haven't done it before, I think they don't understand the value of what you guys do behind the scenes to just keep up to date with everything. But it is a lot of work. And some people like to tinker with the machines and stuff, but I love that aspect of it. And then it's 10x better, it becomes a no-brainer for at least image generation for to choose Midjourney.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talk about how they can make like one image on their GPU in 4 seconds or something, on their $2,000 GPU in 4 seconds. And then it's like, well, if you pay $60 a month, you can make like 64 images in 10 seconds on here. You know, it's like pretty, it's basically when you go full, if you do turbo and you use the full queue, I think you basically are using 64 A100s at the same time, which is something like $700,000 in hardware.
Yeah.
You're basically like a $60 user with like basically one command can use like $700,000 of compute for like 60 seconds, for like 50, 20 seconds. And it's like, it's there, it's gone. And like the computers are already, you would never, like just booting up that many machines on your own would take like 5-10 minutes, assuming you already had all the infrastructure. So like the machines are already booted. They're like, there's a giant pool, all the users, it's kind of like everyone's time sharing the machines, you know what I mean? Like they don't, there's very little, it's surprising, like, we're probably at like 95% utilization on our GPUs. They're almost never idle. They're almost always like doing something for another person. And so, yeah, it's like, it's pretty amazing. Like, yeah, it's like, it's not really, I only know one person in the entire image generation space who has like, 60 GPUs to render images. There was like,
I thought about it. I thought about building my own sort of like cloud infrastructure to do everything, but like I don't know. Like I don't think I can compete with your team. Like if I'm gonna like download Stable Diffusion and do it and try to make it myself, like there's no way I'm gonna compete with you guys because it's changing so fast. Maybe it was like a steady state, maybe a good time to do it, but it's totally not. It's definitely non-linear at the moment. So just having you guys do all the work and I play.
I think I know someone who like spent $1 million on a cluster to render their own images, and then they ended up still just using Midjourney.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of crazy.
Well, I just want to give you guys credit, and I know I'm not taking up too much time on this stage and stuff, but I truly, I did not expect to be put on stage. I was just, it's my first sort of office hours I attended, but thank you so much for letting me come up, and I'll let some others sort of ask you questions, but you're doing a phenomenal job, and I cannot wait for the video stuff because I use Midjourney and Gen 2 every single day, and I spend way too much money on it, but I enjoy it. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's all having fun. It's just about whether you have fun, right? There's a lot of things you can spend money on, and as long as people are having fun, I feel good, right? There's probably very few places actually where you can spend money like here, where where almost every single dollar directly gets translated into fun. Like I go to the movie theater and like how much of the money from the popcorn actually goes into the popcorn.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
all the money is flowing into the server.
Yeah, it's. Oh man, I do think the fact that there is this community both within Midjourney but also Twitter that you can engage with too, like that's a huge. Because if you did it and had no audience, I think it'd be a little bit of different dynamic because I have some audience that I'm able to get feedback and see other people enjoy it. So it's not just me enjoying it, but others and sort of asking questions like, "How'd you do that?" and "What'd you use?" and talking shop a little bit, but also just pure enjoyment of what's being created because it's possible. I mean, I think it's just such a natural fit for me. And I'm not historically an art person. My career is completely different. It's all tech, Silicon Valley, all the mapping stuff, but this has been so much fun to dive into. So I appreciate the time on stage, David.
No problem. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. First of all, I'm not a big fan of your work. And this might seem like a really out of a box of funny question, but as Midjourney and you guys have inspired me to start my journey in AI and ML, like I've even started with the prompt engineering and building tensor PyTorch models. What are some skills I might require to get recruited by you guys?
Cool. You're breaking up a little bit, but I'm happy to hear that things are inspiring you.
Yeah, like I wanted to ask, like I've started with TensorFlow and PyTorch models, and I'm having fun building them. And what are some skills that I might require to get recruited by you guys?
I mean, a big thing is like just a lot of practice, do a lot of projects. I think in general, the best way to get a job in both the software industry and the AI industry, ironically, is just doing a lot of cool projects, putting them up on GitHub, having a blog where you talk about your projects. Like the ability to do cool things in an independently motivated way and then to write about those things and document those things puts you into like the top 1% pretty quick. And then from there, it's like, how interesting are the projects? And I mean, in a lot of ways, you just start working on projects, like write them up, put them on GitHub, make a little blog thing, and then just keep doing bigger and crazier projects. And eventually you'll, I think there's a very high likelihood of getting a job in the field.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll do one or two more. We'll probably end it. Yeah. I don't know. Is anybody left? What's going on, Ancient?
I'll have one more queued up. Just invited them up.
Okay, and then I'll do maybe a final quick small lightning and then we'll call it a day. Oh, yeah, it's warm in San Francisco today. 73 degrees. It's like the surface of the sun.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi, David. In listening to everything today, I hope that you take this feedback from the community as not like constructive criticism, but like free like questionnaire, because we love you, and everything that you've been doing is like beyond awesome, and we think the world of you. And sorry, I just came back from to my desk, but yeah, so I was thinking, let's see here. Okay, sorry, I have quite a few, but oh yeah, the thoughts of interpreting the conceptual intention frame prompts. Like, what are your ideas on that?
We're going to try to have bigger grids that have more interpretations, a larger diversity of interpretations in them, and we hope that just makes people happier.
Okay, yeah, because to be able to tell a story in a quick thing, like conceptual design is like the highest form of communication, because you can communicate like complex things in a short amount of time through iconography, and Midjourney is awesome at that. And just the ability to tell stories. I mean, you could have stopped at V4 and everybody in the community would be super happy and super gracious to you. And the fact that you just keep rolling out like new updates, you're like, oh, by the way, everything's faster and it's cheaper. All right, bye. So, yeah, we love you. So I know just from being involved, I do speak for the community in terms of, all of the suggestions that we have and stuff are not like in any way, we're not the chihuahua like nipping at your feet. It's just, you've been kind enough to give us a platform and a stage to voice our opinion, and it's been awesome. And the fact that you are putting yourself out there and making yourself vulnerable in that way, like others have talked about, like does set the stage for the future. But so on the mobile front of the new like the things that you're working on in the future, the invalid parameters. So when you're on mobile and you're like editing, a lot of times you're re-rolling things and you edit it. And on mobile, if you make a mistake, by default, both Android and OS X will, it's case sensitive. And on mobile, you're not able to like highlight what you've done and re-roll it. So, yeah, it'd be super, super, super helpful to be able to edit that and not lose it. And I've taken like screenshots before to like, bring it in as a picture and then highlight it and then re-roll it. But yeah, that's basically it. So I don't know. I just wanted to convey that, you're awesome. You can do no wrong. And, when you're doing these office hours, hopefully it alleviates some stress, at least in the future, knowing that you're talking to a community that, if you were to ask us to do something to help, we would totally do it.
Awesome. Yeah, we're definitely going to ask for, we do the surveys or we do the data labeling. Those are really helpful. We're definitely going to do another one for V6 where we ask people to help us calibrate the V6 before we launch it. At some point, we're going to offer some we'll have like more data labeling tasks too that just kind of constantly replenish, and that, there'll be, and we also, the program just learns from people using it too. So the more people use it in some ways, the better it gets. People are definitely helping. I mean, yeah, having a subscription helps. A yearly subscription helps us more than a regular subscription. So I mean, yeah, I think everyone's helping a lot. There's very little we can do around the mobile UI right now because we can't control Discord. But on our mobile and web applications, those things will not be a problem.
Awesome. Sweet. Yeah. So that's basically it. And, like everybody else, like keep up the awesome work. And yeah, looking forward for more new things. And we love how you roll, some like this last, how, you got better computers to compute faster. And it wasn't even like a big thing, but it was a huge thing to us. Like all of a sudden everything's faster and, you just.
Oh yeah. I mean, to be
random,
like, we're spending the amount of money that we spend to do that is a lot. When we put almost, I think we basically were like spending all of our yearly subscriptions on trying to make things that faster, get the GPUs to make things faster like that. So it's a lot of money is going into that. So I'm happy everyone's happy. It's one of the things that we kind of knew that like, oh, that makes sense. If we have a yearly subscription, then we can make things better. We'll buy these computers and we'll try to just make things faster and cheaper. So that's starting to happen. I think, yeah, hopefully in the next few months it gets even better. Hopefully everyone eventually I'm hoping everybody gets that speed up. There's like another level of speed up that maybe won't get to everybody. There's basically 2 types of new machines, basically that we're moving towards, 3 types of new machines. Yeah. And so as those machines kind of scale up, it'll just get better. I mean, there's a lot of things like that. We make the algorithm faster too sometimes. So I will see. I'm excited. There's just like everything's gonna keep getting better. And so yeah, happy. I hope everyone's having fun and thank you for your support.
Yeah, no, we love it. We love you. And yeah, keep the good work up. Looking forward to, I know we're chomping at the bit for V6, but literally at the forefront, you could do whatever you want. And like Midjourney set the standard for what is possible in terms of generative AI and image creation. And it seems like people are having meetings around the world. Other companies are trying to, compete in the space, but they use Midjourney as the standard of what is like ultimately possible. And it's just awesome how, at least on the website, you're all, yeah, we have, a small team of 11 people and,
we're bigger than 11 people. We should have thought at some point.
What I mean, like just the general story of how it originally started is it's, just the idea of that it's a very small team and what you were able to do with a handful of awesome people is, it speaks to your ability to, like hire good talent and know what you're doing, but just the fact that you're able to surpass like leaps and bounds, like not even on the same scale, is awesome. And, we like how transparent you are. And, a lot of the times we'll ask for different like options and bells and whistles. And you're like, no, that's, not going to work. So we know that you're honest, you speak your mind, and it is like a breath of fresh air because, the world is cynical. Everybody, whether they know it or not, is thinking that they're being sold something. And so, having this time once a week to listen in and, get your honest feedback is super, super helpful, super awesome. And we just love how you're just working circles around the entire community. So, hats off. And again, you could do no wrong. And, yeah, I like in terms of the community, we wish that you would, ask more of us, to expedite any type of initiatives that you have going. We would love to help out in any way.
Yeah, maybe I'm definitely, we'll see. Maybe there's some more things I can ask around, but yeah. I'll think about it. And yeah, there's a lot of things I'm gonna do that like there's a lot of things I was gonna do. I was gonna reward people with like more GPU hours for. I wasn't gonna ask people for harder things without like some kind of light reward. But yeah, I mean, we'll definitely try to have a lot of things we get people to help us do. I don't know. There's actually one more thing that we might do. Yeah, actually, There's some projects. There's some projects we can get everyone's help on. That yeah, I appreciate the encouragement. We'll try to do more.
Well, that'd be super awesome. So yeah, that's it. Look forward to seeing what's going to happen in the future. So yeah, keep it up.
Yeah.
All right. I guess I'll do one last little quick lightning round. Any last questions people have, and then I'm gonna head out for the day. So, all right, last generation, biggest limiting factor for big grids. Oh, well, we have to make every image cheaper and faster. Otherwise, the grid could be like way more expensive. So, we're trying to do that. Yeah, images in V5 are a little dark and not quite sharp. Yeah, we're definitely gonna try to improve that in the future. What's the biggest? You mentioned big goals. I might only get 30% of them. What's the biggest, most fulfilling goal of Midjourney? We're trying to create this new fundamental human infrastructure around reflection, imagination, and coordination. And then we want to change how people do all those things. We want to bring it together and basically change how like all things are made in the world in like a positive way. Because it seems like we have a lot of problems that we need to solve. And the only way to solve things is by like making things effectively. And so we're trying to change how we make things in the process of creation, which is this reflection, imagination, coordination, sort of like one of the core visions. So that's pretty big. And probably do some crazy stuff too on the side, but a lot of stuff like that. We'll see. We called it vary region because it's kind of like a vary job, but you're varying a region, and I think that part works really well. Changing the prompt works sometimes and doesn't other times, but like we just thought it would be it kind of like blends a little more easily with the current features, and I think it makes sure people have like crazy expectations. And it's a little bit more understandable for like a person who doesn't already do AI image stuff. Yeah, it'd be cool one day to transfer fast hours. We don't have the ability to do it right now, but maybe in the future. Big grids, you can use dash repeat right now and make more images. So it's kind of like a big grid, but we don't have any big grid UI stuff yet inside of Discord. I do think the real world aesthetics will change. I think they always do. I think we're trying to push for sort of aesthetic accelerationism, like more aesthetic exploration in the next few years than all prior human history combined. And so I think that's going to result in a lot of changes. Fast hours don't roll over from month to month right now because it's we have to kind of budget how much money we have every month for computers. And so if a bunch of people didn't use it and then all of a sudden used it, it might not be possible. So yeah, kind of the same reason why cell phone vendors originally did it, because it was expensive every time they did a minute. And so it's like, we have no rollover now. We'll probably add some rollover in the future. And then one day it'll all be like unlimited all the time or something. It's possible we could do like a little bit of rollover. But a lot of our systems that do the billing and the hours are being rewritten right now. Would like to do more things on Twitter, but I have not had the energy for it. A note sheet for music. Definitely create like a music note sheet. I don't know if it would be good music though. I'm not sure if we're gonna do more benefits for the $30 plans. The relax mode stuff, we lose a lot of money on relax mode. We lose a lot of money on relax mode. So right now the relax mode thing is pretty big. Like, yeah, relax mode basically costs a very similar amount of money to the normal images. So we're gonna be a little cheaper, but not so cheap that people like when people make 10,000 images, it doesn't lose us like 100, like a lot of money. I think there are some people who make us lose like $1,000 a month on their $30 plan. So we're like a little scared of those. We're definitely going to have more diverse aesthetics in the future. Future versions of Midjourney will have like more obscure knowledge. Yeah, I mean, Midjourney will do video at some point. I don't know. Well, I don't really know what that's going to mean fully, but it will be really good. We do the office hours every week. No other AI lab does anything like this. Sorry. It'd be cool if they did. I would love to hear from others more often. I think video prompting will look a lot like going from images to video. So you'll make an image first, then go to video. It'd be cool to do more like daily or weekly notes on Midjourney. We'll try to have like we'd like to hire somebody on the community side at some point to do more stuff like that. I try not to do too many press interviews right now. There's a lot of predatory behavior in the press where like you make more money off of negative stories than positive stories, so you try to make everything negative. Not everybody, but like a lot of the media, unfortunately, like has to survive, and then they make money off advertising, and you get more ad clicks on negative stories. So it's unfortunately like, I think a few times people attacked me in journalism. It felt really bad, and I was like, it wasn't really about anything. It wasn't really about the story. It was about what's happening. It was about like, could they like try to find a sentence fragment, like half a sentence I said, and then write a story around it that would try to piss someone off. So that I got a little like bad experience on that. So, but I'm probably gonna do one or two things in the next few months. Data labeling is probably not a good long-term career choice. You could try to be a person in charge of data. I think data like quality, like trying to figure out if data is good or bad and visualizing data, but I wouldn't try to do labeling as a career. You could do as like some spare money or for like small amounts of money, but I wouldn't do it. Yeah. Hopefully text will be better in V6. Yes. Oh, we're doing more events. I forgot to mention there are more events, so check out the event calendar, and they're really cool. We'll probably have a 5.3 on the way to 6. V6 is not in the next 2 weeks, but probably not more than 2 months out. Prompt battles are fun. All right. I think we're wrapping up for the day. Thank you for coming, everybody. We do these every week on Wednesdays, 12 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you for being a part of the community. Thank you for the questions and ideas and suggestions. And I hope everybody is having fun. And I hope everybody has a nice week. Thank you, everyone.